Excelsior, true believers, this is Todd Luck, and let's take a trip back in time to 1975 when those merry madmen of Marvel were churning out a cavalcade of comic book classics featuring creepy creatures and colorful costume characters. Oh, but that wasn't all. Stan the Man Lee himself was out there reaching the masses, trying to turn Marvel into a lifestyle. You could play Marvel, you could wear Marvel, you could be Marvel. And because all of this is so dazzling that you might forget what day it is, they came out with a calendar. And this calendar wasn't just filled with tantalizing trivia and awe-inspiring artwork. No, those pragmatic prognosticators at Marvel used their Nostradamus-like know-how to peer 50 years into the future to see that we would have flying cars and world peace, and that 2025 would be the perfect year to re-release their calendars since it would have the exact same calendar days as 1975. Well, at least they got that last one right. This is a review of the mighty Marvel calendar for 2025 that is indeed a re-release of the classic 1975 calendar. And so this certainly isn't the only Marvel calendar that you can find for 2025, but I think this one is very special. First of all, it was written by Rascally Roy Thomas back in 1975 when he was editor-in-chief and historian of Marvel. And you may ask yourself, how in the world do you write a calendar? Well, you're going to find out. Another big selling point is that not only do you have the older talent doing the artwork here from 1975, but the lineup of comics is a little bit different. I mean, we've got our usual suspects, your Spider-Man, your Thor, Hulk theme, all that stuff. But look at this, kids. We got Dracula. And so there is an entire month devoted to their horror characters from the 1970s. And then look at this. It's Conan the frickin' Barbarian in a Marvel calendar in 2025. The calendar doesn't come shrink wrapped. Instead, it comes in this collectible box, which has a reproduction of the calendar on the front. And it's just a thin little box that you can take the calendar out of. You know, this flap just opens up and you can display the calendar, put it back in there, and it's still in new condition. And that's kind of neat, and it still has all the information about the calendar on the back, even though I'm not sure if this is sold in stores or not because I had to order mine off Amazon. I know it's also available through Books A Million, but I really like the fact that they included the preview stuff on the back because it's really neat. I love this picture of Cap. It's just a very nice touch. Now, this is not a very sturdy box, so do not put anything heavy on it or you might crush it. Now, I know that sounds like common sense, but Amazon actually put something heavy on mine and crushed and tore it, so just be careful of that. But as you can see, after I sent back the damaged calendar, they sent me a replacement that was in perfect condition, so that's good. So this is a spiral-bound calendar. The calendar is printed on durable cardstock, which is quite nice. You should be able to hang it up without having to worry about damaging it. But, you know, again, when you're storing it, just be sure not to put anything heavy on it and crush it because you can warp this cardstock or bend it. And I've already shown you the cover. This is gorgeous original artwork by John Romita, and they have just altered the cover a little bit to just let you know that it is a modern Marvel calendar for 2025 and that it is a reissue. But I like how they've kept the updating of the calendar to a minimum to try to make it as much of a facsimile as possible. And so that includes this image on the back with some original artwork of head sketches of each of the characters that are featured in this calendar. And it's kind of cool. Make mine Marvel. And so they do have some extra pages. It opens with this cute little sequence with Spider-Man saying it's too late to save 1974 and Hulk remarking about the new year. And then we move on to a little bit of a preview of each character that's going to be featured in each of the months. And I just want to zoom out for a minute to show you how nice this calendar is going to look hanging on your wall. It's pretty groovy. And so here's a look at what one of the months looks like. And as you can see, this is no ordinary calendar, kids. This is what I meant when I said Roy wrote this thing. And so it's filled with all kinds of information and artwork taken from the comics. And so each month is going to have a quote from one of the featured characters of that month. And it's also going to feature the birthdays of different Marvel creators. It's going to feature historical events like the release of Spider-Man #1 and Stan Lee being at Carnegie Hall, which I actually think happened on January 5th, 1972 and not the 4th, but even Roy Thomas isn't perfect. And it's also going to feature events from the comics and sometimes done in a flippant way. Like, for instance, we have Aunt May's first heart attack on the 14th, and on the 22nd, she's had her 100th heart attack. And yes, even the Spider Buggy and Kingpin are in this month. And there's some serious stuff too, like the death of Gwen Stacy, which it says took place on the 28th of January. And of course, the Green Goblin got his shortly thereafter. And so I just wanted to go over a few things that were in January, just so you understand. This is what you're getting every month in this calendar. Every series is featured just like this, with all kinds of trivia and information and jokes and artwork. And part of the fun of this calendar is just getting it and just going to it every day to see what Roy wrote in it. And now I'm going to briefly show you the main artwork for each month. And according to the back of the box, it has artwork from Jack Kirby, John Buscema, John Romita, Gene Colan, Gil Kane, and others. Now, as you can probably tell from the comic books behind me, I don't have a lot of comics from this era. It's mainly Conan and Cole that I've gotten out of back issues. This is before I was born. So there's only 1 month in there that I know the artist for, and give yourself a no prize if you can guess which month that is. But I really don't feel qualified to even speculate about who the other artists are for every month. So I'm just going to let you guys figure that out. Let me know in the comments below who you think the artists are for each month. Well, who better to wish you good luck in the new year than Spider-Man himself, welcoming in 1975 with the cast of characters from that series that existed at the time. February is for Defenders, and so Defenders have had a lot of different incarnations over the years, and so this one has Doctor Strange. We got Valkyrie over here. Don't ask me which version it is. We've got the Incredible Hulk. We've got Namor, and in the corner there is Nighthawk, and yes, I did have to look up who he was. For March, we have the first black hero with an ongoing series, Luke Cage, in all of his tiara-wearing blaxploitation era glory. And so for April, we have the Avengers, and so this is an incredibly classic lineup. We've got Scarlet Witch and Vision, and we've got Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. Fantastic image. And for May, this is the one I know. I'm like Captain America and the Avengers. I know this reference. And it is Barry Windsor-Smith, back then known as Barry Smith, and he was even kind enough to sign it. But yes, of course, this is Conan. And so I will say that the calendar itself has Conan and the other Robert E. Howard characters that were frequently used at the time, which were Cole and Red Sonja, and you might even see some of their arch enemies in there as well. For June, we have the Fantastic Four trying to prevent a workplace accident, and that is Medusa, who is in the place of the Invisible Woman. This may have been one of those times when they switched up the lineup. That did happen even back in the 70s. And what else were they going to do for July other than, of course, Captain America? And this was back when he was palling around with the Falcon, and it's just a really cool looking image. And August is for supervillains, and this is a cool image with a whole bunch of different supervillains in it, but the calendar below here has even more villains in it, including some complete surprises. Roy Thomas has an encyclopedic knowledge of Marvel villainy. In September, we're taking the Rainbow Bridge to Asgard. We've got Thor and a whole lot of characters from his series, which is pretty cool. And of course, October is going to be our horror characters. And so you have Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Man-Thing, and Werewolf by Night. And the calendar has even more characters, including some guy riding a motorcycle, a couple spawns of Satan, and a character who happens to be the son of a newspaper publisher. November is Daredevil's month with good old Matt Murdock swinging right at you. And for December, we have the Incredible Hulk and Santa Claus, because why not? And so there's a couple extra pages in the back, and one involves using your astrological sign to create a supervillain that you could send into Marvel back in the day. And then the other is just Spider-Man crawling with some extra facts about Marvel Comics throughout the years. And so that, my friends, is the 2025 Mighty Marvel Calendar, which does come highly recommended. It will definitely be hanging on my wall here at home. By the way, if you would like a book collecting all of the calendars between 1975 and 1981, you can absolutely get that right now. It's called the Mighty Marvel Calendar Book of Visual History. All right, that's it. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until Conan takes a ride in the spider buggy, make mine Marvel.